For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen. Longtime Kearney High boys soccer coach Scott Steinbrook hit a milestone earlier this week as the Bearcats knocked off Lincoln Pius. It was the 300th career victory for Steinbrook, who says it was quite a day.
Yeah, it was pretty special. We got a great group of guys, great assistant coaches, great parents in our program right now. So to be able to share it with not only them, but my family kind of surprised me. I didn't think they would drive to Lincoln in the middle of the work week in the afternoon for a game, but it was really fun to have them there. So it's not something you dwell on very much, especially we kind of had a rough start to the year, but then it's been fun to kind of see the guys on this year's team get better and better, and then kind of come to the realization that this milestone might actually happen this year. So it was fun to experience it, fun to celebrate it with the guys and family and friends. And now, just like every coach will tell you, it's on to the next.
Do you remember your first win?
Ironically, that's been a really popular question today and yesterday. And I do. I was a young, dumb college kid, just graduated, was teaching and coaching at Kearney High School. And it was a road game at Grand Island Northwest. For years and years, we had opened the season with them. And I remember I had a pretty senior-heavy team, so I kind of leaned on them. And I knew what I was doing in terms of like the game itself, but in terms of like the operations of, hey, here's what's expected of a head coach. The learning curve was pretty steep that first year, but I do remember number one, Grand Island Northwest, a long time ago.
How about in these 25 years that you've coached? You got to be really happy to see how the sport of soccer has really grown in Nebraska and really grown in central Nebraska.
Yeah, that has been, if I was going to list some of the top 3 or 4 things that I've enjoyed seeing and experiencing in my tenure coaching soccer, it's one of those sports that it's still in its infancy. When you think about the 100-year tradition of high school football or high school basketball, soccer's still relatively new. It's literally 30 years old across the state of Nebraska. It became a sanctioned sport right when I was in high school, late 80s, early 90s. So I was really lucky from that standpoint. I played it growing up as a kid, and then I got to experience it at the high school level, and then it kind of grew from there. But the growth of the game from east to west, north to south, in our state, in our country, has been really incredible to be a part of. And I feel like I've had a front row seat. When you mentioned central Nebraska, you're looking what we've been able to do in Kearney here, but then you look to the east a little bit in Grand Island, to the west a little bit in Lexington. It's been really special to see firsthand these communities just really thoroughly embrace soccer and just see it explode in popularity from the little kids' ranks all the way up through high school and beyond.
I would think you maybe got to feel like you've been kind of one of the pioneers out here. Yeah,
that's a bold statement, but I've been around long enough where I suppose, there's something to be said for that. And we've worked hard in Kearney here, and I think maybe some other programs have looked at, how we've pushed for facilities and turf and lights and middle school soccer and kids soccer opportunities. I don't know if we were the first ones to do it, but we were one of the ones that really kind of went all in and wanted to make it something that the community really embraced. And and maybe there's been some other communities that have looked at us here in Kearney and modeled some of the things that they do. But I'm really proud of seeing other communities grow the game like we have here in Kearney. And I still think there's room to grow. That's the cool thing. There's still a lot of work to be done to kind of continue popularizing the sport and making it accessible for all kids. I think that's a big part of it. But, it's been really fun to see the sport boom, and I'm excited to see what the next 5, 10, 15 years hold for the game.
How about this year? You mentioned being up and down, but it had to be great to pick up that win the other day in your conference tournament against Pius.
Yeah, we've the last month or so has been really solid for us. We had a rough start to the year. We started 0-3 and kind of scratching our heads a little bit. That was a little bit unusual for us to start slow like that. But the guys have really hung in there. We only have 4 seniors. We're an incredibly young team, with some freshmen, sophomores playing heavy varsity minutes. But our 4 seniors kind of really rallied and have been great leaders. And even though we've lost, a couple games, we lost a shootout to Lincoln East 2 weeks ago, lost a tough one to Grand Island, our consistency of play has us peaking at the right time. And I think every coach, regardless of record, would say they want to be peaking towards the end of April as we're getting ready for kind of that postseason district tournament and potentially state tournament to come around. So I like where we're at. It's unfortunate we stubbed our toe stubbed our toe early on a little bit in the year, but the kids have responded well, and it's, we're positioning ourselves to hopefully get a good seed for the district tournament coming up in a couple weeks.
That was longtime Kearney High boys soccer coach Scott Steinbrook, who has been at this for a while and has certainly had a lot to do with the development of soccer across the area and the state. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen.